Hi all, welcome to Excel training. Today we are going to see a concept called conditional formatting in Excel. What is conditional formatting and what are options available in conditional formatting we are going to see. Now, what is formatting first of all? In Excel, when you are done with some data and you want to present the data in a much better way, look and feel wise, we are going to format the table accordingly by giving some colors, borders, uh, and some formatting accordingly, right? So that's what formatting is all about. But when you come to a concept called conditional formatting, there you format the cells in Excel in a table based on a particular condition. Okay, so when one condition is satisfied, you have to color it. Otherwise, you don't want to color it, or you want to give some border or color or whatever it is, right? So that's what conditional formatting is all about. So let's get started and look into some of the concepts available under conditional formatting. Okay, so these are the concepts which are going to see under conditional formatting. We have some basic options like highlight cell rules, what is top bottom rules, what is data bars, how to create data bars, what are color scales, what are icon sets. So all those options we're going to see. Right, so let's get started. I'm going back to Excel. So this is a small table which is available for us currently. We have some invoice number, we have some dates, sales representatives, product, price, and sales. Right. So on this data, I'm going to apply some conditional formatting. Right now, the basic rule for applying conditional formatting is on whichever column or whichever table you're going to apply conditional formatting. First of all, you have to select that column to perform the conditional formatting. So let's say if I am performing conditional formatting on this column, let's say G column where my sales data is existing. So I'll have to first select that data. So I have selected the data till the end of the database. Go to conditional formatting. Conditional formatting option will be available under Home tab. So under Home tab, I'm going to conditional formatting. Now my first option says highlight cell rules. Under highlight cell rules, I have further options like greater than, less than, between, equals to, and so on. So first let's see greater than, right? So highlight cell rules greater than. In this data set which I've selected, that is my sales data, if at all my sales data is, let's say, greater than 600, I want to color that column. Okay, so I select greater than. It takes a default value, but I'll have to specify something, let's say 600, right? So with whatever color you want to format or whatever format you have to apply, you have to select it from here. So by default, it says light red fill with dark red text or whatever. You can click on the drop down and select whatever is appropriate. Or if you don't like any of this, you can go to custom formatting. I just clicked on custom formatting. One new window will come. Here you have all the options to give whatever formatting you can, right? So you can give some borders, you can give some colors. I have these colors here. So what are custom colors you have available in Excel, you can select any of those colors and select it accordingly, right? So basically I'll just go with default thing and click OK. Now, when you observe here in this set of data, whichever row contains sales, whichever cells contain sales greater than 600, all those data will be colored. Now, if I change this to some value which is 650, then it gets colored automatically, right? So that's what a basic conditional formatting is all about. You just give some formatting to a set of cells and specify a condition. Based on that condition, if that condition is true, it gives that color. If that condition is false, it will just out skip out, right? So in this column, whichever data I've selected, it starts from the top of the database and it keeps checking for the specified conditions which we specify. So I've specified a condition, that is highlight cell rules greater than 600. So it will check for it whether it is greater than 600. In this case, it's a true. So it'll color it. If it is false, it will not color. It will go to the next cell and it keeps looking. So wherever it returns a false, it will not color. Wherever it returns a true, it gives you a color. right? So that's what conditional formatting happens for this column based on the given condition. So under highlight cell rules, we have seen what is greater than. Same way we can give a less than option. Okay, so less than a particular sales value, let's say less than 200, it colors all the values which is less than 200. Let's say I specify 250 and I'll take some other color. Let's take light red fill, or let's say green. Click OK. Now, wherever your sales is less than 200, this is 154, it has been colored, 150 is colored. Okay, so like this, you can apply multiple conditions on one column based on whatever your condition is, right? So I've shown how to apply greater than, less than. Same way we can try between. You can specify a set of data from to, that is between. If your values lies between those lower limit and upper limit which you specify, it gets colored. Same way equals to, if it is a text, then you can specify text that contains, right? Now if you are applying it on a text column, this is my text column, right? So I select that and I go to my conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, text that contains, right? Now it says majestic, I'll only give mag, something like this, right? So wherever mag comes, wherever a text which contains mag, it will color with whatever you specify. I say okay. Now majestic gets colored here, and let's say I give something else. Let's say abc image, right? So it contains image, it gets colored as well. So that's one of the options to select the text data that contains some set of text, right? And you can even select with dates as well. So if you have to say a particular date which contains a date, you want to color it, then you can even give that. Okay, so we can try all those different options here under highlight cell rules. Fine, so that's our first option. Now we have our second option which says top bottom rules. You can take and select the data till top 10 items in a particular set of list. Top 10 items gets colored, top 10% of the data gets colored, bottom 10% or whatever, above average, below average. So whatever is the specified condition here, you can select that. Let's say I will take this column called price column. I go to conditional formatting, my second option, top bottom rules. I want to color top 10% of the values in the price column. So I select top 10%, right? So you can even give 10%, you can customize the top 5%, top 15% or whatever. I stick with 10% in this case. And I say, right, let's say red text or whatever, right? Click OK. Now in this case, wherever your data is greater than, or it will calculate the top 10% of the data, and whenever it is top 10%, the $32 comes under top 10%, so it gets colored, and whichever comes that way, so it will color that. So that is how your top bottom rules exist. So you have created a rule here. Let's say I want to edit that rule. I am not satisfied with the format which I have specified. I'll have to modify that. What we can do, I can go to manage rules. There is an option called manage rules here. So I can go here. It will display all the rules which you have specified here. I've specified top 10% rule, and I've given some formatting accordingly. I want to edit that rule. I say edit rule, format, and I don't want this. I want another format to be specified. So let's say green border I'll have to give. Let's say okay, okay, and apply. Click OK. Now my format has been changed. Now wherever my top 10% is there, it will give a border of green border to that particular cell, right? So I give a $30 here, even only the top 10% gets colored, right? That is 32%, $32. Let's see, 31.5. No, only 32 gets colored. Fine. So that is all about in your, because the range is very limited here. It is from 32 to 25 or 23, so that's why it is taking that way. So let's see, 12 here and 10 here. So fine, so that's what your price values are. Let's see other options. So same way we can try top, bottom 10%, below average, above average, and so on, right? So let's take the average stuff. I have units here, and I want to uh, take the color. I have to specify the color for above average, right? So I select above average for the entered with whatever color default I'll say. Okay, so it will take an average of the entire data, and whichever values are above average, it gets colored. Whichever are below average, it will not color it, obviously. So that is what your uh, second option is, that is top bottom rules. Okay, so let's see another option called data bars, which is very exciting. Let's take another same set of data, another copy. So just take this, Control C, and I'll copy it here, Control V. Okay, now let's look at that data bars. So again, whichever column you're applying conditional formatting, make sure that column is selected, right? So I'm going to apply the conditional formatting on price column. So, or let's say units column. Select the units column, go to conditional formatting, data bars. So based on whichever color I specify. Okay, so you can see at the background, the data bars are being displayed. So based on a cell value, the highest cell value will have a highest bar, lowest cell value will have a smaller bar, right? And whatever color of your choice, you can select those colors. I go with the first option here and say, okay. So you can see even in stock market kind of a display, you will come across this kind of data where you have data bars next to those values. Uh, it's very useful when you're constructing dashboards and apply some formatting on top of it, right? So here you have an option to give a data bar and value in the same cell. We also have an option to separate this. Mean to say I want data bars in one column and values to be displayed in another column. Let's say I give a insert and copy this again, Control C, Control V. Okay, as I copy pasted everything, so even the formats gets copied. Now I don't want formats to be here, so I'll just go to conditional formatting, manage rules, and delete this rule here. Click apply, click OK. So for this column, I have values. Now in this column, I want only the bars, not the values, right? So I go to conditional formatting once again. I say manage rules. Okay, I just have to edit this rule. Click on this, say edit rule. Inside edit rule, let's say show bar only. We have an option called show bar only. I'm going to select that such that here you will not be displaying the values, only bars gets displayed, right? So even the fill colors, all those things you can change. Bar appearance, all these gradient fill, solid fill, what is the color, different variants of color, you can even change it from here itself, right? So I click OK, and now apply and click OK. Now in this case, you don't see any values here, only the bars appears, right? Now here there is value, you can observe here there are values here, but only thing is you will not be able to display it because I've selected an option not to display the values, only to display the bars. Now this is a value. What I'll do, I'll just select equals to and do like this, Control D. Okay, so whenever value changes here, okay, let's say I give it 12, bar gets increased and value gets displayed here as well. So make sure that you give values here, or you can even do the other way around. Anything is fine, right? So I change values here and your values gets updated here, and the bar gets updated as well, right? So that's data bars, an option called data bars. Very useful when you're constructing dashboard and want to display your data in a much better way. You can use data bars. Fine. So the other option called color scales, we're going to see color scales. Now, I have set of data here. I select that sales data. I go to color scales. So based on the cell values, Excel itself will take a pattern and apply the color scales based on the input, right? So I just select one of the color scales here, and the highest value will have one color, and moderate values will have another color, and lowest values will have another color. So based on cell inputs, your color code will change and it will display accordingly. That's called color scales. And one other useful option you have here is icon sets. Right, icon sets, you have this arrow mark kind of display. Highest values will have green up, lowest values will have red down, and intermediate values will have yellow arrow mark. Same way you have these signal bars, you have this red, green, blue, whatever, red, green, yellow, all these different icon sets are available. Based on whatever is your choice, you can just select that. I'll do this as of now. Okay, so if your value is a highest value, it will take green up. If it is intermediate values, yellow, and lowest values, red down. Right. So these are the default options available in conditional formatting. Right. So those are the options which we have seen. Um, these are inbuilt values, as I mentioned. So highlight cell rules, top bottom we have seen, data bars, color scales, and icon sets. Okay. Now moving on to the next part where we can actually start using your or creating your new rules by yourself. Instead of using those default options available in conditional formatting, you can create your new rules by applying formulas inside, right? Or by specifying some conditions inside your uh, conditional formatting. You can use single condition, or you can even go for multiple conditions, or you can use functions inside conditional formatting. Let's see some of the examples of how to perform these things, right? So let's look into one example here. Let's say this is my table once again, same table which we discussed till now, same table, and we have one invoice number. Okay, let's say I given an invoice number called 10501. Now my criteria is whatever invoice number I specify here, the same invoice number in the table should get colored. The entire row, wherever my invoice number is existing, those rows has to get colored. Okay, so that's my scenario to get performed. Let's see how to do that. Okay, so as I already mentioned, whatever conditional formatting, wherever you want to apply those columns, you'll have to select. Now I'll have to apply conditional formatting on the whole row, right? So wherever my invoice number is 10501, the entire row has to get selected and formatted, right? So for this, I'll have to select the entire table, and in that entire table, wherever my invoice number is 10501, that particular row has to get formatted. Okay, so I've selected the entire data, go to Home tab, Conditional Formatting. Now I'm going to create a new rule, right? So I say new rule, I'll have to use a formula now. So use a formula to determine whatever formatting. Now here is where you start writing your function or formula. Any formula in Excel starts with an equals to. I say equals to. Now this is the logic here. I'll have to start from the top of the database, right? I'll have to start from the top of the database and keeps navigating through each and every record inside your database and compare it with the invoice number you specify here. When that results are true, okay, inside conditional formatting, it's all about true or false, right? It's all about true or false. Whenever a true is encountered, it will format it. Whenever a false is encountered, it will skip that record. That's as simple as that. So whichever logic you are writing inside conditional formatting, that has to be returning either a true or false. It should always be a true or false condition, right? So I'll have to start from the top of the database and keeps navigating through each and every record in my database and compare that with my invoice number called 10501. If that is a true, it will color it. If it is a false, it will skip it, right? So when I selected that first cell, that's my invoice number, that's my 31st, it starts from the 31st row. So I select A31, but you observe here, it is freezing both row as well as column, right? But that's not what we wanted. We wanted the algorithm to navigate through all the records inside my navigate through all the rows inside my database. So if it has to go down, the row reference should not be freezed, correct? So I'll have to unfreeze the row reference by deleting the dollar before 31. Okay, but it has to always stay in the A column, so I'll keep that dollar before A, and I'll have to say equals to, that should be equals to the invoice number which is specified here. So I select that. Okay, and it is completely freeze. It has to be, because this invoice number should not change irrespective of where your algorithm changes, right? So I'll have to also specify the format of whatever color you want to specify. Let's say green. Okay, click OK, and that's it. Now wherever your invoice number is 10501, your data gets colored. So I'll just change this one of the record to 10501. It instantly gets colored, right? So that's how dynamic your conditional formatting is. Based on a specific condition, you can make sure that table is getting formatted. So you need not worry about the data. Once you apply conditional formatting on a specific table, and even the data changes every time, your conditional formatting takes care of coloring it or formatting it accordingly, right? So that's one good example to understand how your conditional formatting works based on a specific condition, right? Now this is for a row reference. Let's also see for a column reference. That means if I specify a product, right, then product column should get colored, right? If I specify price column should get colored, something like that. Okay, now we are going to see a conditional formatting for columns as well, right? Now I'll only keep one record for 10501. Control D. Okay, so only that record is there. Now let's do for the column reference as well. So again, I have already one rule available. I'm going to create one more rule. So I go to conditional formatting. I can go to manage rules and see, okay, one rule is already there. Now I'm going to create another rule. So I click on new rule, use a formula. Now I say equals to, start from the top of, because I have to look at the column headers now, not the data. I'll have to look at the column headers and compare it with the column header called product, right? So I start from here, that is the 30th row, not 31st, 30th row, where my column headers are there. Now when I click on that, what it does, it will keep the dollar symbol before A and 30 both. But if my requirement is that I'll have to navigate through all the columns inside my database, correct? So when I have to navigate through all the columns, your cursor has to, your algorithm has to navigate towards the right. When it has to navigate towards the right, you have to make sure that your column reference is not freezed. That means A should become B, B should become C, and so on. It keeps navigating towards the right, and it will compare with whatever product you specify here, right? I say product. If I change that to price, it will become price. So whatever column name you specify here, it has to compare it with that. So it starts from the leftmost part of your database and it keeps navigating towards the right and look for whatever columns you specify there. I specified product column, so it will color the entire column, right? So I say format, you have to specify some format. I click yellow, click OK, click OK, and click apply. Okay, now you observe here, product column got colored. Fine. So instead of product, I change that to the price. Your price column gets selected, and date and so on. Whatever column name you specify, it changes instantly. Whatever invoice number you specify, your color gets changed instantly. I say 10503, and this is what it happens. Okay. Also, one thing to observe here, uh, we have applied a formatting for green first and then yellow, and you see yellow is getting dominated, green is going backward, right? Why? Because I go to conditional formatting once again, manage rules, and see your yellow formatting stays top and green has come down, right? So whichever order your formatting rules are there, it takes that order. Now if I can change this green to up, right? So I'll say this. Now green has come up, I click apply. Now you observe here, green has come on top and yellow has come down, right? So this is one good option to look at. I click OK. Now, one final thing to look at conditional formatting. Now, I have specified row formatting, I have specified column formatting as well. Now, I want to color the intersection part as well, right? So whenever this 10503 and date column are getting intersected, there I'll have to specify another color. Okay. Now for intersection to happen, what we can use, I can use a function called AND function, right? What AND function will do, it should take all the conditions, and when all the conditions are true, specified inside that are true, then it will return a true. That's what we wanted. We wanted whenever the conditions, both the conditions are getting satisfied, then there it should return a color. So how to construct a formula, we'll just see it here. It has to start from the top of the database first, and I'll have to make sure that column is freezed. So I press F4 3 times such that A gets a dollar before that, and that should be equals to invoice number, which is freezed both ends. So I press F4. That's my first condition, and the second condition will be invoice number, that is the column header. So I start from here, which has to be row freezed. So I press F4 twice for row freezed. That should be equals to whatever column is specified. What I'm actually doing here, I'm giving both the conditions which we already specified, and I'm bringing them together with an AND function, right? So just because I want I want the intersection part to be displayed. So it says false because the very first row is false. It is not actually uh, satisfying the condition. So it's a product here. Just change, right? Now it says false, but what I should not be constructing the formula here. I'll have to construct this formula inside my conditional formatting. So I copy this and select the data, right? For your conditional formatting to apply, you will have to always select your data and then come back to manage rules and create a new rule, use a formula, and that formula I'm going to paste it here. Control V, fine, perfect, and I give a color for it, let's say red, and click OK and click OK. I say apply. It has to be on top because intersection should be shown, right? So I click apply and say OK. There is something wrong. Let's see what is that. Okay, your K30 is not freezed. Okay, so your reference this has to be freezed properly. So I missed out on that. So it has not colored. So I press F4 and I take this formula once again. Apologies for that. Control C, and I go back to the data, select it, conditional formatting, manage rules. I now I have to edit this. So I click on that rule, edit it. Okay, so now instead of this, I'll just paste whatever I've copied now. Control V. You can even construct your formula here, but it's always a good practice to construct your formula there and then come back here, because here you will not be able to see any by default you will get all the options or the parameters, nothing, it will not show here. You have to construct your formula on your own. So it's a good idea to practice you to construct the formula inside the Excel and then come back, copy paste here, right? So I click OK, I click apply. Now it is applied. Click OK. Yes. So here you observe you have your red color applied on top of wherever the intersection comes, right? So I don't want this. I I can even now change this 10501. Yes, it's working fine. Now I say price, it's working fine. So that's about your conditional formatting. Okay, hope the session helps. See you next class.